This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. Inside of the chaos being created by the Republican Party right now, there is something to rejoice in. There's joy to be had in the fact that they are feckless and have zero ability. They have an inability to lead. They have no policy prescriptions for the United States other than provide 24/7, 365 chaos. And we're witnessing right now that very thing from Matt Gaetz and Republicans and their infighting. Matt Gaetz yesterday took to the floor of the House and put forward a motion to vacate. He wants to, in all of his delusion, his delusions of grandeur, he thinks that he has the juice to take down Kevin McCarthy. I don't care whether Kevin McCarthy remains Speaker. I think there is something to think about that the devil you know may be better than the devil you don't know. I don't know. But for me, the chaos and the disruption and the instability, I'm going to enjoy while it lasts. And this will last, a week or two more. I'm going to play a clip of him. I want to show you it's not behind the scenes because it's on the congressional record. He made a statement on the floor of the House, but I want to show you that this is largely procedural and that my prediction is this isn't going to go anywhere. I think I've already spilled the beans on my prediction. I think that it's highly likely this is going to fail. In fact, I think it's more likely that Matt Gaetz is going to see repercussions from the Republican Party more easily than they are going to get rid of feckless dipshit, another one, Kevin McCarthy. Watch this motion to vacate from Matt Gaetz.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Florida now seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Clause 2A1 of Rule 9, I rise to give notice of my intent to raise a question of the privileges of the House.
The gentleman will state the form of his resolution.
Declaring the office of Speaker of the House of Representatives to be vacant. Resolved that the office of Speaker of the House of Representatives is hereby declared to be vacant.
Under Rule 9, a resolution offered from the floor by a member other than the majority leader or the minority leader as a question of the privileges of the House has immediate precedence only at a time designated by the chair within 2 legislative days after the resolution is properly noticed. Pending that designation, the form of the resolution noticed by the gentleman from Florida will appear in the record at this point. The chair will not at this point determine whether the resolution constitutes a question of privilege. That determination will be made at the time designated for consideration of the resolution.
Again, largely procedural. A lot of nonsense there. But this is an effort for Matt Gaetz to get himself in front of cameras. This is an effort by Matt Gaetz to get clicks, to create moments for Newsmax and Fox News. As evidenced by this little presser he did on the steps of the United States Capitol that lasted for several minutes. Here's just 2 moments that kind of illustrate what he's about.
If you succeed, McCarthy's almost certainly going to put himself up as a candidate for Speaker again. And that may mean there's no one who can get 218 votes. Are you prepared to go through that possibility with no one getting 218 votes?
Well, I would think that if it took Kevin McCarthy 15 rounds to become Speaker, and after 8 months of a failed speakership, and after a successful removal vote, as your hypothesis would portend, that he would take a hint.
If you're successful, who would be your alternative? Who would you be putting up there if you're successful?
Look, our number 2 is Steve Scalise. I think very highly of Steve Scalise. I would vote for Steve Scalise. I would probably vote for at least 100 Republicans in our caucus and maybe 100 other Americans out there who wouldn't necessarily need to be a member of the body to be considered for the speakership. But I am not going to pass over Steve Scalise just because he has blood cancer and is going through treatment.
What would you say to
No plan. He doesn't have a pick. He doesn't have a way forward. He just wants to create the chaos for his own sake. And to really prove, to drive home the point that there is no leadership of the Republican Party, here's Donald Trump asked about it this weekend in Iowa. Hey, where do you stand on this? Matt Gaetz wants to remove Kevin McCarthy. He's likely to do that on Monday, or attempt to do so on Monday. Where are you? You're the leader of the Republican Party, Trump. What do you have to say about this matter? And shockingly, Trump is too much of a coward to take sides between two people who talk about him so nicely. Watch this.
Do you support Matt Gaetz' efforts to remove McCarthy as Speaker?
I don't know anything about those efforts, but I like both of them very much. Yeah.
Do you expect Mr. McCarthy to remain Speaker? Do you support him?
Well, I don't want to comment on it yet. I think it's too early. It just happened a little while ago. I've always had a great relationship with him. He said very nice things, I know, this morning about me and the job I've done, Kevin McCarthy, so I appreciate that.
That's leadership for you, right? Can't make a tough call because, he said nice things about me. I can't do it. Which is exactly what we witnessed during his presidency. He couldn't have a bad thing to say about Vladimir Putin because of all the glowing things he said about Donald Trump. He can't have a bad word, a cross word to say about Kim Jong-un or any number of totalitarian goons across the globe because they might not like him as much. And to demonstrate that this is peril for Matt Gaetz, there's a steady yet increasingly loud drumbeat from Republicans in and out of Congress to get rid of him, to start calling him out for his nonsense. Petulant child, one congressman called him.
First of all, what's your reaction to Congressman Gaetz' move to oust the Speaker?
Well, I think he's a petulant child, and I think he proved that this evening by filing his motion to vacate against the rules of the Republican majority conference.
Not just Republicans in the House, though. Republicans outside the House. Republicans who are just radicals in their own right. Here's Dana Lash, the NRA gun lady, and she had a tweet where she called, this is great, because of Gaetz's ego trip, we, the taxpayers, missed out on reducing government spending, increasing border security, and nixing Ukraine funding. This is a straight-up establishment move. And then, this next follow-up almost makes me regret one time that I said that her husband, Chris Lash, I think his name is, I said that he looks like the bathroom of the tour bus of Nickelback must smell. I said something like that. People were outraged by it. But she followed it up with this banger. It's straight up Nepo piss baby shit. And not to be left out in the cold, Newt Gingrich has things to say about it as well. He doesn't go as far as to call for his expulsion from the House because that would be too tenuous. That might put Democrats back in control relative to a speakership and also maybe just the majority in general. But he started with this tweet. He says, is Gaetz secretly an agent for the Democratic Party? No one else is doing as much to undermine, weaken, and cripple the House GOP. And that's coming from Newt Gingrich, former Republican Speaker of the House, a man who did cripple and weaken the House GOP. But he did. He postulated on what can be done. What can we do to put Matt Gaetz back in his place? Of course, short of outright expulsion. This is what he tweeted. The effort to expel Matt Gaetz for being a destructive, irresponsible anti-Republican may be a step too far. Expulsion from the House requires a 2/3 vote. However, expelling him from the House Republican Conference and eliminating all his committee assignments and all resources other than those an individual member is entitled to would be a rational response to his suicidal efforts to cripple the House GOP. One, that's a hell of a last sentence, Newt. You should use a little punctuation or may break it up into 3 different parts, 3 individual sentences. Just a tip, Professor Gingrich. You love to see it. Matt Gaetz is not going to be expelled. Matt Gaetz isn't going to get his way and have the speakership vacated and have a new speaker put into place. One, he doesn't have a plan, even if his machinations were to come to fruition. But also, It's not going to happen. He doesn't have the support of even the most radical members of Congress. He's a joke. But this is the current status of the Republican Party. This is all they got. They can only fight amongst themselves. They fight with everyone. Everything is an ideological test to see who can be the most radical. And this is what you get in that case. This is what you end up with in that case. Anyway, I'd love to know what you think. You can call, leave me a brief voicemail, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me, as always, daily@dollemore.com. And if you're into this sort of thing, wow, that could have gone a whole different bunch of ways. Consider supporting my work, helping produce my work. Click the join button below. Become a channel member for $2 a month. Hit the super thanks button or go over to patreon.com/IDoubtIt Follow me on social media. I'm at Dollemore everywhere, and I'd love to see you there. Until I see you next time, be genuine. Take care of one another.